Hello guys, and welcome to another video. My name is Williams Teddy Jimo, and I'm a software developer. I mainly deal with .NET C Sharp in the Microsoft Visual Studio environment to develop software. I'm quite partial to desktop applications myself. And in this particular video, I want to extend from a previous video that should be uploaded regarding Project Render, which is my animation software, my software to composite and compile image frames, in order to create custom animations. So in this particular video, what I want to do is run over a really, should I say, early beta UI, and what some of the functionalities I'm planning for this particular piece of software is. And I want to just share with you guys also some of the ideas I have for the future regarding this software. So without much further ado, let's get straight into the video. So firstly, what is Project Render? Well, Project Render, or should I say Project Morph, as its more later title is, as I described, is an animation software which allows you to compile frames in order to create custom animations. What you should see on the screen is a very, and I express very early beta screen, basically just to allow me to test the functionalities in terms of the software, in terms of the code, and I have some sort of way to view the output. You can consider it a kind of like a debug mode, I suppose, of sorts. So in this particular part of the software, what I want to show to you is some of the concepts which I have integrated into this particular piece of beta software right now. So for example, I can add layers. Now, the concept of layers is quite simple. I have, say, a shape like a circle using this very basic brush. And if I just add a layer, I have an untitled layer right here. And what I can do is, say, draw another circle, like so, using a trackpad here. Not the best tool for drawing. I do have a graphics tablet, but my brother's using it. Anyway, that's not really the point. So as you can see, two different layers, two different pictures. Very simple stuff. Now in this particular build, I haven't integrated the onion skinning tool. And for those who are unfamiliar with animation, onion skinning is just basically a technique in order to view the layer before your previous layer as a sort of lighter, like a highlighted version. So you get this sort of layering onion skin effect, as the name comes from. So that means at one time I should be able to see both the circles, and just as a little intuitive feature, the previous layer should kind of be like faded out a little bit so that I can tell which layer is on top and which layer is at the bottom. And that's definitely going to be a feature that will be implemented in a future build and described to you guys in a future video. I also want to show you guys something which I got working yesterday, which was animation. Now this is a basic animation functionality based on an internal clock within the program. And it only works right now on one thread. So you can only have one particular clock. But what I want to implement is this idea potentially for multiple clocks for different objects on the screen, different sprites. That way you can time different sprites on different frame rates, depending what you're doing. If you say animating hairs on ones, animating leg movement on 2s and 3s, then I'm considering having separate timelines in order to control these animation speeds, rather than having one timeline and sort of dispatching the frames upon that one timeline, which does work, but you can also separate the timeline just to make things easier as well. So let me just demonstrate this working. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new frame. Now I am drawing pose to pose. I think that's the right. I'm not an animation expert. I used to do a lot of animations on, you might be surprised to hear, Microsoft PowerPoint. When you really look at it, Microsoft PowerPoint offers a kind of frame by frame way of animating with the slides if you treat them as frames. I'm just gonna go ahead and bring this here. This is less of a bouncing ball and more of like a bazooka I'm drawing or something. But I want to try and... So far it's been animated on ones, I guess, but I should probably slow it down a little bit. One thing to note on that note is that I haven't yet implemented a duplicate frame functionality, and without the onion skinning, it just means that I'm sort of animating blindly, which is okay. For demonstration purposes, I just want to show this basic archetype of a functionality, that basic animation function working. So just trying to animate my ball coming to a slight rest. And I'm failing art school right now. Just a joke. What I mean is, this is not the best kind of ball animation in terms of the artwork, but I'm just... Because I'm aware that right now the default speed is set to roughly 30 frames per second, which is... Oh no, I'm trying to hit 24 frames per second, but I believe it's somewhere in between 24 and 30 right now, in terms of the frame rate. So it's running really quick, and of course in the later build you have the option to actually choose the frame rate, although the industry standard of animation is 24 frames per second. So this really rough ball is just going off into the distance. I'm gonna draw one more frame. That should be right. And so, let's just reel this back a little bit, and you can already see some of the animation there. And so I'm just gonna hit play. And there you have a very, very simple animation, a very simple proof of concept, of what's going on here, frame by frame. You can go back, you can go forward, I can go back a frame. And I'm just gonna hit play one more time. Quite amusing, isn't it? So that's a little bit of the functionality. And as you can see, I drew 24 frames as the monitor shows. Oh, that's funny. I hit 24 frames. I didn't even know. So that's 24 frames. So what do I want to do? One thing I want to include, let's say things for the future. So what I want to include is what you should see on the screen actually, which is an earlier kind of proof of concept I created, which was a pseudo 3D plane using skew and stretch properties for 2D shapes. And what this allows you to do is to get a 2D sprite or a 2D shape, and you can stretch and skew it in such a way that it creates the illusion of 3D. And this mapped very cleverly, you can actually create multi-plane dimensions of 3D. You can create, like, say, if you're really clever, you could program a cube rotating. You could create different 3D shapes moving consistently, along a line or something. And that's something I want to definitely look into implementing with Project Morph. Also, audio. Animation software, if you're animating, you're probably going to add audio, right? And usually in the pipeline, you probably add the animation, or should I say, the audio towards the end, using not After Effects, but a video editing software. But I believe that it wouldn't go amiss to have at least placeholder animations at this stage of the pipeline, which is sort of the animation composition stage. So I'm looking to adding audio to the frames, and which kind of leads me to the next point. Scripting. I also want to include the scripting functionality. I definitely want to do such a thing. So what do I mean? Many animators, I believe, they operate in the creative field, so it's less of the technical and more of the creative expression. However, animators still need to be aware of their tools. They need to be familiar with things they may use. They may be using TV Paint, they may be using Flash, but there's still a technical aptitude that needs to be reached in order to master those tools. So what do I want to do? I want to allow for scripting, basic scripting in Project Morph, to allow you to script specific functionalities for your animations. And so what you should see on the screen is a project of mine, Project Accelerator. And what this does, if you look at a previous video, I'll go into more detail in that video. But Project Accelerator is a software which allows you, which I built a custom script to allow you to manipulate the processes of a CPU. So you can monitor the CPU processes, you can view the priorities, and you can even close applications such as the Notepad app discreetly on Accelerator, as I show in the video. I'll probably leave a link somewhere to that video here in case you want to see that in more depth. Another example of this functionality is another app I've been writing. It's a pseudo C# IDE, or rather an object-oriented programming based IDE, where you can write very basic scripts. You know, you can assign variables and things like that. And I want that kind of functionality in this application so that, you know, the animator has the choice of using a graphical user interface to, you know, more traditionally create their animations, but also having the power of digital, the power of software in order to script certain actions to come to being in the animations. And I think that's quite interesting. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this little insight. This is part of a developer series where I update you guys on what's going on with Project Morph. And please do subscribe, like if you enjoy the content, and any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I hope you have a great day. Thank you very much. My name is Williams Teddy Jimmo. You can find my LinkedIn, Williams Teddy Jimmo. I'll leave a link somewhere in the description. And thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.